Up next is a conversation with Steven Gagnon, CEO and the creative force behind EQUES Timepieces. In this episode, we dive into the world of watches. From a young age, Steven was captivated by the intricate art of watchmaking. During a conversation, we explore his journey in craftsmanship behind his timepieces and what drives him in this precision-focused industry. Enjoy. Okay, sir, how you doing?
I'm living the dream, sir. How are you?
I'm doing good. I really enjoy seeing all the work that you have done with watches. It's like, how you got there? What was the fascination?
Yeah, the fascination, I always had a big fascination, even as a child. I was given a Mickey Mouse watch, when I was 6 years old. And, you're wearing a Mickey Mouse one. Love it.
I'm wearing a Mickey Mouse watch.
I love it. And I received it as a gift, and I loved everything about it, the ticking, the movement, and the arms moved of Mickey Mouse. And from there, the passion grew. I ended up buying my own watch a few years after that, and then starting my watch collection. And then how I actually got into being a watchmaker, one night my wife was putting her daughter down to sleep, and I was looking at watches on my phone, and I made this like ridiculous list of like automatics to battery operated to Swiss movements to Japanese movements to blue, black, stainless steel, leather straps, all this like fun stuff. And it was like a ridiculous list just to determine which watch I want to buy. So I was doing this and my wife comes downstairs and she looks at me and she's like, "You're not looking at more watches, are you?" And I'm like, "No, I'm kind of not." And then she's like, "Jesus, honey, like, how about you just make one?" So a light bulb went off and I'm just like, yeah, maybe I should make that, but like, how do I do it? So I like researched it and watched a bunch of videos, and then I started getting watch components, putting them together, taking them apart, putting them together. And I did this for about almost 2 years.
Wow.
And during that, I learned a lot about watchmaking, respect a lot about the process behind it, the genius. And I still don't even know everything about it. I'm still very much sure like in an apprentice. Like I am eager to learn more. And then I was going through the process. I figured out what type of watch company I wanted to be. And then from there, I start designing them and having them made and then getting it tested and start releasing it out to the public and seeing what type of response, I would get from it. And so far, it's been pretty positive.
That's awesome. It was the original Disney, the original Mickey Mouse watch.
Yeah, it was like this like Timex, rubber strap, kind of similar to the one I have on now, and it was just like this tiny Mickey Mouse watch.
It's funny because the reason I ended up with this Mickey Mouse watch is because I was trying to buy the original with the hands, and it was a company only. They had it done, and I couldn't get it. So I ended up with this one. I appreciate watches a lot because it's like, to me, it's like, a $4 watch or like $5 watch that you can buy on Temu or whatever, yeah. Mm-hmm. And a $1 million watch, the end result is basically the same. I tell you exactly what time it is, but how they got there to me is a fascinating story. So how you pick yours? When you were learning, what was the components your watches would like to have or they have?
Yeah, as a watchmaker, I was trying to be realistic with the cost.
Yeah.
So I spent a lot of money on the movement itself. Okay. So I used the Japanese quartz movement and automatic. It was the most affordable, but also it's a pretty reliable timepiece that I could use. And from there, I focused on the design, made sure the quartz movement or automatic movement was perfect, make sure that it can withstand a beating, make sure it will last for generations. That's what I would like my watches to represent, to last for generations. You can pass it down to your kids, and your kids will pass it down. And then from there, the design, trying to figure out a cool way. Some of them are very complex. Some of them are very simple, classic, timepieces where they just literally tell
Yeah.
You look at it and you're like, all right, that's the time. And the other ones are a little bit more complicated, which has a little bit more of a design and theme behind it. And all my watches have a theme. They're all, equus means knight, like knight, sword fighting knight. Yeah. So I, named all my watches after knights or some form of knight, family or representation of it.
Why you went with that name?
It's because when I was doing the builds and I wanted to think of something that's reliable, that means something like a knight back in the day, and even, knights now, they have like nobility, prestigious, class, reliance, speak for the weak, and and that's kind of what I wanted to do, and I wanted to represent. I didn't want to build a watch that's hundreds and hundreds and maybe even thousands of dollars. I could easily do that, but I wanted to build watches that the everyday person can afford, the everyday person can have, and you can have a high quality timepiece, but at a really affordable price. And that's where the movement comes in. You rebuild a really good quality movement, make sure that these components are not made out of plastics and adhesives and ceramics and aluminum, copper even, because that bends very easly with heat.
And the heat.
And that's what a lot of timepieces are made from now that you look at, and not just like the ones from Target or something, but yet even some of these other micro brands that have a really good name, and even, like the LA watch company movement, they have fantastic timepieces. I love them. They're beautiful. They do the job. They tell the time. They are at a really good affordable price. But what sets them apart versus other timepiece companies, like especially myself, is that they built their components out of those flimsy materials because, and I can't speak for them, of course they'll never say this, is that they want their watches not to last. They want you to buy more movement pieces, and then more movement. And this one breaks, you're like, oh, I had it for a few years. It cost me, $150. I'll just buy a new one, because it's a reliable piece. But is it reliable? Like, from my opinion, it's not. And, and then with my timepieces, they're not built that way. Like, I've driven over all of them with my car, and the watch might be, and the glass might be broken, but the movement itself is still ticking away. It's still telling time. And that's a separation between, that one example of between one watch company and another.
Yeah. That's so true, because most people don't, even some heavy hitter brands, you look and they have all the movements made in China, and like they're not reliable, and they spend, some of them is you can spend a couple $100,000 on it. I know I'm not gonna say the brand, but I know that it's a company that is just all the movements coming in China, and then they look like $1 million watch, but it's like when you break it down into pieces, it's like you can build it for a couple $100.
Yeah, you can build watches by yourself, pretty simple. Like there's a great company called DYI Watch.
They're on Instagram,
Yeah, and it's a pretty fascinating concept, from them. I actually have one of their watches, and it was fun to build. Okay. Like I was even thinking about maybe I can do that concept with my own watch brand, but I decided not to go that way because I think that'll not devalue, but it's more of a fad to try to build your own watch, and it's fun and exciting. But once you're done, you're like, all right, I'm done. Yeah. Like, what's next? And that's how I look at things. And I look at watches, and I'm like, what's the next watch I can get? What's another cool movement or timepiece? And I don't care if it's a Target brand or like $1,000 for a watch. If it's something I love and it's reliable, I feel it's reliable, I'll buy it.
Yeah, I think that is, and especially in the last couple of years, the watch market is sort of insane, and it is. I think it's a poor investment if you buy a watch just for investment purposes, because the whole idea is to have it, is to wear it. All the little scratches that you make, they give you some characters, and right now people, it's like, oh, I'm just gonna buy it because of this or because of that. No, I appreciate that, because it's like and I think that's the reason I didn't go the do it yourself, because I'm gonna be like should I start when do I start the next one? Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think I rather like go and research the watches and see what the movements. One of the things that I have in my collection that's very interesting is most of the movements of all the watches have different movements. I like that piece. It's like, how do we get there? It's all like a person, as a human being. We all have all the same parts.
Yes.
But we make different choices in life, to get, and then result we ended up underground, So for all of us, and that's the way I look at watches. Okay, this watch does this, and I like it that way.
Yeah, with my watch collection, I have a ton of watches, and I look at each of them as like a story behind it. Like, I have my grandfather's pocket watch from World War II, and I absolutely love it. And every time I have it with me and I wear it, I feel like he's there with me.
Yeah,
and it sounds weird, but it's a feeling I get. Yeah, and I love that feeling. And then I have, like a Movado watch that was my dad's, from the 80s. And I just appreciate the look and feel of it, even though I'm not a big Movado fan. They make great watches, but like, it's just a different feeling. Each watch has a different feeling within me. So if I put on that Movado watch, I feel like my dad is, or if I wear the first watch that I ever bought myself, I feel like giddy like I did back then, and it kind of sets my personality. I feel like as a trend of what type of messaging I'm trying to say to myself, or what I'm trying to feel for that day. For job interviews, I have a certain watch. For evening wear, like formal events, I have a certain watch or watches that I have, and I usually pick one based on my mood and one that speaks to me.
Yeah.
Like I have a lot of watches and they all speak to me in various different ways. Not just by the style, but what I feel when I'm wearing them and how they look with a certain outfit. If it's more casual, or dressy, it doesn't really matter. I'll still mix it up here and there, with my watches, doing dressy with casual outfits, casual with dressy, it's all the feeling in the essence behind each of the watches.
Yeah, that's such a true statement. It's like, hey, I sometimes to get out the door, so I have a particular watch box, right? On my way out, where I have my kids and everything, and that one is usually in rotation. They goes with the one with the bedroom, and they come back and forth. And sometimes it's a contemplative state, So you go there, and I open the box, and I'm like, who's coming with me today? Yeah. And sometimes I take two of them. And it was funny. The other day, I was traveling to Boston to do some training, and I had a carry on with like three different, the one that I'm wearing, and three different watches. Yeah,
I love that.
I was there for a week, but I didn't know if we're gonna go for dinners or whatever. Yeah. And the TSA guy goes, who is the guy with the three watches on it? So that will be me. Is it a problem? It's like, no, it's just weird. And I'm like, well, I'm not going to.
There's nothing weird about that.
It's not weird about it. Yeah. So the guy was like very interesting. So, so how's your wife take the watch collection? I know there are a lot of collectors. The wives gets a little bit interesting on it.
No, my wife is super supportive of it.
Nice.
Which is really great, especially with my ridiculous collection. I have a box. I have another box. And then we have a pretty sweet setup in our closet where there's a tiny drawer. And those are all watches. You open it up and like my wife's like, oh my goodness, like how are you going to fit all these watches? How can you show them all off? And I'm like, I'll make room. I'll figure it out. I'll like rotate them out from the watch box to like the drawer. But, she's super supportive over it. She's super supportive of the company. I think sometimes she may get a little jealous because she's like, where's my watch? Like, how come you're not getting a watch for me? But I'm getting
you have some models that are women.
Yeah. I have a necklace watch.
Yeah, I saw that one.
It's the only one of its kind, believe it or not.
Oh, really?
There's a lot of watches out there that show, watch necklace, that shows, like it to be a watch, but mine it actually tells time. When the other ones,
it's just fake.
The other ones are usually fake. They may move, but they don't actually tell time. And mine, you can set it because it doesn't have numbers on it. It has the little hour markers and everything. So depending on how you're wearing it or you want to wear it, you can lift it up off your chest and have the 6 o'clock actually be the 12 o'clock and the 12 o'clock be the 6 o'clock. It all depends how you want to wear it. You know, I've seen women wear it where they just lift it up and they're like, okay, that's the time. And I've seen other women wear it where they're twisting it. And I'm like, why are you twisting it? You know, like, just set it. But hey, to each his own. And that's the beauty of watches. You know, you can make it your own and have it your own style. Another watch that I have is a very small one for women. It's like an 18 millimeter watch that has, it's very small, very dainty, has like a white leather strap on it. And it fits perfect for women who like that daintiness. But one thing I'm finding really kind of interesting is that I'm actually getting a lot more women clients who I think are buying for their significant other, brother, father, whoever, but they're actually buying the timepieces for themselves. Wow. And the funny part about it is it's the 50 millimeter one that I have. So that's 50 millimeters. Yeah, gigantic.
It's not like it reminds me back on the 80s. The big watches of the 80s. Yeah, 50 millimeters is a big chunk.
It's huge, and the reason why I know it's for them is because they'll ask me like in the comments like, "Hey, can you sign and can you take it off? This is the size of my wrist. Can you make it work so I don't have to go out and get it resized when I get the watch?" And I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, "Well, that's a really tiny dude's wrist." And then it's just dawning on me, or when I do follow-ups, because I reach out to all my customers and say, hey, how's everything working out? Like, do you have any problems? Anything I can teach you about the watch? Even though I send all that information, you know, in an email when you get the watch. Yeah. And I've been getting feedback saying, hey, like, I bought it for myself. And, you know, and I'm just blown away how many women are buying the bigger watches.
I noticed that in especially in summertime, you know, when we live in Orange County. So, but here is like when you see some ladies and they have big size watches. Yeah, it's pretty cool. But also the 50 millimeters, if I remember correctly, your 50 millimeters, the Templars one. Yeah.
Oh, that's the Nightway. Yeah.
So, but it has complications on it. Yeah. So it's not like a 50 millimeter plain mother of pearl or anything. No, it looks like more manly style watch.
Yeah. It's actually a aviator's watch.
Okay.
It's the inspiration I got behind it when I was thinking about it. But it has a lot of complications in there. It shows like the heart shape movement because it's an automatic. Yeah. It shows the month, day of the week, and also date on there. So there's a lot going on.
I don't have it. But is it also, I think, is it thin or how thin is it?
It's pretty thick.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's pretty thick. And it's kind of heavy and everything. So it comes with, I offer a couple different straps to kind of balance out the weight. The strap that comes with it is typically a stainless steel strap, but I also have this rubber and leather infused strap that you can put it on there and it stays firmly on there because the rubber's on the bottom and the leather's on the top. Yeah. I love that one. And the other one is called a bun strap where it covers the dial on the behind it, so it's a little thicker strap that kind of like wraps around it in a way, but it sits on top. Yeah, and the strap is a little thicker. That one's a really cool one. That looks really nice with the Nightwing.
Yeah, I saw some pictures on Instagram. Why are you choosing all this? How you ended up with those sort of versions of the band, especially the leather one.
Yeah. It all kind of like came up when I was trying to figure out ways to market the watch to fit better on the wrist because it's an automatic. So you don't want it to be moving around a lot because it could potentially mess with the components of the watch. Even though it shouldn't, but it does. It can possibly. And I was trying to think of new stylish ways that to represent the watch and show it into the market that hasn't already been thought about or hasn't really been just, fully vetted out. There's a lot of companies that do have similar bands that I have, but not a lot of them have I hate to say the quality, or I can say happily say the quality, because it's, each of the bands are rounded at the tip. So it's supposed to stay on your wrist a little smoother versus the triangle part of the buckle, which some just like lay on top and it kind of sticks out. Yeah. Mine curve, so it can lay nicely on the wrist. But coming up with all of the different styles of the straps are all very meticulously thought about. Like even on the Templar that you mentioned earlier, that's another automatic, and it comes in the black, tan, brown, and charcoal. All of those are double padded, and they come with that arch on the buckle to make sure that you can wear it a little looser and it stays firm on your wrist, or you can wear it a little tighter if you want and it stays even more firm. But either way, the movement's going to be solid on there and not moving.
So you say you spent 2 years searching for watches, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Because if you were rewind, we were in the middle of the pandemic, yeah?
Yeah.
So how do you manage that supply chain for yourself?
Oh God, it was contacting so many different watch component manufacturers.
Okay.
Some of them in China, some of them in Romania, some of them in Australia, some of them even in the US. So I got and then I bought a bunch of old watches.
Yeah.
And then, pocket watches or automatics, and I'd crack those babies open because I'm like, what does it matter? I paid, $50 for a box of 20 watches that I can crack open, and if I scratch it, I scratch it. Who cares? They're all old and dinged up anyways.
Yeah.
So I used those components to taking them apart. Oh. Now putting them back together, that's when I bought, new movements where I can meticulously, unscrew, take off a bunch of screws, move, some of the components out, and then put them back together. And then I would put the hands on there and give it a few cranks to wind it up and everything. And I'm and if it still moved, I was score, I did something right. Now, there's been many times where I crash and burn, and I'm sitting there thinking I only took 2 screws out and moved 2 components. How is this not working? Yeah. And I was and it's frustrating because I want to make it work, but happy because it's not as simple as you think it is. So as I got used to moving out each of the components, and I got used to playing around with different components and moving stuff, I'd even remove some components to see is that a key part of the watch? Can this watch be lighter and have this part missing? Yeah. Well, I quickly discovered that is a hard no. It needs all these components in there, and I try to figure out some components that maybe I can custom make. Yeah. And it's hard because molds are expensive, and without having a clean room environment, and I just don't have one, and a manufacturer that's willing to take a risk on you to build those parts out without paying for the mold, that it was challenging. But during the pandemic, going back to the pandemic, I loved it. I got all these parts in, and that was my little hobby. We couldn't go out anywhere. I kind of liked not seeing everybody. So
I'm with you with that.
Yeah,
it's I don't have to go out, and I don't have to talk to people.
This is great. I can order Target and just pick it up, or have my groceries delivered to me. This is amazing. Yeah. So I would set out a little mat each day and just play with different stuff. And my daughter got really involved with me. She was she was 2 back then. Wow. Or maybe 1.5. And she got heavily involved in watching me. She'd be like, "Daddy, what are you doing? Daddy, well, how is this working?" And so she knows a lot of stuff, a lot more than I think the average person probably does on movements, because she would just see me playing with it. Yeah. And then she got into the design with me too. So I would do a design and show it to her and be like, "Hey, honey, what do you think of this?" And she's like, "No, daddy. No, daddy." And I'm
That's great. And do you have any kids design?
I do not have any kids design.
I think you should make one.
I should definitely make one. Yeah. But she's a tough cookie.
That's great.
Yeah. And and in her opinion.
Well, you met my producer.
Yeah, I met your producer. Yeah, and it's beautiful to see the honesty of a child. Yeah, so I figured if a child who doesn't really know much about watches is saying hard no on the design, that probably means other people are probably going to say,
100%.
oh, it's nice, but they won't be as honest as a child. And that's one thing I love about my daughter being so involved. And even my wife is brutally honest, and I love it.
That's what you want, yeah?
Well, yeah. I don't want...
It's because that little, the honesty part, if it's not there, it's going to cost you a lot of money in the end. And then it's like, well, you should have told me early.
Yeah, you should have told me earlier, yeah. And yeah, so it's fun, getting the family involved and some friends and family and everything. I'll send them prototypes. Like I developed a smartwatch that I was really, really proud of. And it had like built-in like earpieces so you can listen to music and take phone calls. And I worked with a watch manufacturer and a tech company to build that out. And it ended up being like the worst piece of crap I ever designed in my life because it looked cool, it functioned okay, but it just like it was just missing that wow factor. Like, what's the difference between that? Like, it was no like, wow, I want to buy this over a Fossil hybrid or a Samsung or an Apple. Even Apple technology, I've never been able to compete with Samsung and Apple. I mean, but I have a fighting chance with some of the others.
I think I fight it a lot, yeah. So to get an Apple Watch, I got one, and I don't use it as often. But I think, a lot of like watch fanatics, like, I don't know if fanatic is the right word, but like walk aficionados, yeah, like us, yeah. So it's like when those things come up first, we were like, brr, 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 brr. Yeah, we were very upset. But I think it put more watches in people's wrist and opened the door for all the other. To now, it's like, well, I'm used to wearing this electronics piece, and what else is out there? And I think they opened the door for more people to be interested in watches, because the watch world, I thought it was before the Apple Watch, it was like slowly dying, or I don't know if it dying, but it was like a very underground. The people who know watches, watches, and that's it.
Yeah. Yeah, there was a big dip back in the early 2000s when I was doing some research on watches. Big dip, and then it skyrocketed when the Apple Watch came out, of course. But that was with more of a technology base.
Yeah.
Analog or battery Apple Watches were still kind of plateauing. And now over time, as there's more hybrid watches out there. So it's a combination of like that cool tech where you can receive phone calls, but yet it looks like a normal everyday watch. Yeah. Those are cool. Like Fossil knocked it out of the park with that.
Also, Casio has a few one of those that they're like Bluetooth, but it's like there's enough information that you can barely see a text.
Oh yeah, totally. Yeah, and those are great. And those companies that have done that have helped with the watches. And then the high-end watches, though, however, it did skyrocket pretty high because people were like, I want this rare piece. And you're looking at it and you're like, it's awesome. And a lot of people, some people, would look at that and be like, oh, I want a higher end watch now that I got my Apple Watch, because my Apple Watch is my everyday watch. But now I want a higher end watch. And that went up over the time. And then now that's kind of plateauing as well.
Yeah.
Where
they're coming down.
It's coming down. And a lot of people are still into the tech watches that I've noticed. But yet, the other watches but everybody appreciates a good analog watch. I love my analog watches. I have an Apple Watch too, but I mostly wear it when I'm working out, which is very rare, as you can see. But but I do love wearing the analog watch. Something about wearing a non-tech version, because you already got the tech versions. Everybody has a cell phone.
Yeah,
and everybody, a lot of people use cell phones as their watch. And I get that, but nothing feels better than having an actual watch on, in my opinion.
Oh, 100%. I think what I use most of the time that I use my Apple Watch is when I'm teaching, or I have to be driving and it's easy to check messages, or I have to take a long drive. But having like an analog watch is like, and you know what's interesting? A lot of people, the first experience that they get with a watch is either in Macy's or in a place like that. Yeah, so they go, oh, this looks nice. And I'm, okay, yes. We can start with that, yeah? And then you take them to a really nice high-end watch shop and they put it on the wrist, and the feeling that they get with that is like,
yeah. Especially like the stainless steel ones where you feel it, and you're just like the weight and the shine and like the crystal or a sapphire on top, and you're just like, holy cow.
I was this lady who was very upset that the husband watch collection, and I was explaining to her, I said, I don't think if you understand the watches, and then you know what, I'm gonna go with him. So he went to the dealer, and it was a Rolex dealer. She put it on her wrist, and I get it now. She walked out of there with a $25,000 watch.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I remember when I was 19 years old and I was traveling Europe, I was fortunate enough to spend it with each member of my family in some form or degree. But one of the factories we went into was the Rolex factory.
Oh, nice.
And it was impressive. I mean, it was beautiful to watch and beautiful to see. And then you go down to their storefront area and you're looking at these Rolexes that are like $60,000, $70,000, $100,000, and you're like, holy cow. And my mom had actually ended up buying one for my father, not this crazy amount ones, but like it was beautiful. It was like gold, and it had like a marble background, like a dark charcoal marble background and gold pieces. It was one of the Presidente ones.
Yeah.
And that was really cool. It was a great experience to have, especially like being 19 and loving watches. Like I ended up getting a watch there, but it wasn't a Rolex. It was one of their sister companies. Then I still love the watch. I mean, it's tiny. I mean,
well, you got it in the motherlands.
Yeah, got it in the motherland, and it's a beautiful quality watch.
The story. That's
the story
about watch. You have to have a story.
Yeah, I have to have a story. And it's not a Rolex, but I'm like, hey, it came from the same factory, came from the same store. It's like it's just a sister company, and and I love that watch.
That's the reason Tudor now is blowing up. Yeah.
Yeah,
with the Black Bay and all those, it's a tremendous watch. Yeah, for a fraction of what the other ones cost. Yeah, and that's what I was telling a friend of mine. He was telling me, oh, you know, it's not about the watch. It's what is the story behind it? Does it have a story, and you love it? And they're like, yeah, that's all. I don't care. Like,
yeah,
for Christmas, my producer and I, my producer is my son. He's 10 years old. But for Christmas, what we did is we got us the W91s, the Casio, the $10 ones that you see in every single, the original ones. And it was like, and he was learning the history of the importance of that watch. And he was like, there's a story behind it.
There's a story.
We had it for Christmas, and we have matching watches and things of that nature.
Yeah, I have some watches that I look at and I'm like, I probably wouldn't buy them myself.
Yeah.
But like they were either a gift or something I found like unique. And because of that, I loved it. You know, like I was gifted a watch, I think for my birthday a couple of years ago. And it was a watch that I'm like, it's very different than my other watches. But that's one of the reasons why I loved it. How, like, after looking at it some more, I was like, it has like a gold and silver elements to it. You know, it's a Tommy Bahama watch, which is kind of funny. If you know anything about Tommy Bahama, they're a little bit old. It looks like a little older than you and I are. And it had like a strap that it looked like a wicker basket, but it was a leather strap to it. And I was like, wow, I really don't like this watch. But then I started thinking about it. I'm like, well, it's a gift, and I love it. And the beautiness, I started noticing elements of the watch that was so beautiful. And I love the story. Like, you know, it was a gift, and this person went out, and it was my mother-in-law who went out and got this watch for me. And she really put a lot of thought into it. And she knows how much I love watches, and she knows how much I love unique watches that she did this. And now, like, quickly afterwards, I started thinking, I'm like, oh, this is actually kind of one of my favorite watches. It fits good. It tells time really great. It's unique.
Yeah.
It's so unique. Every time I wear it, people are like, oh, what type of watch is that? And I'm like, oh, it's Tommy Bahama. And they're like, what? And it's great. And it's, and that's the type of reaction I want people to have with my own watches.
Yeah.
With it. And have them tell the same story, saying, yeah, I found this cool watchmaker. It's based off of a night. Here's a little bit of the story, and have their own special experience with it.
Yeah, is it because the last watch that I bought, it was I called the dealer, and I got it. I wanted a specific combination. It was like silver, and the color it was like baby blue numbers. And I called him and I say, hey, I want this. And I'm like, oh, Diego, I have it. And the other combination, and I'm like, no, I want that combination. And I'm like, but I can give you a good deal. No, I want that. I'm not. This is the thing with when I buy watches. I don't looking for the deal. Yeah, it's like I want that watch and that combination. And so I called the guy, and he said, well, Diego, but I have it right here. Send me pictures. And I'm like, well, call me when you have the I promise I won't go and buy it anywhere else. You will be it. So it took about 2 months to get it. It's crazy.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
But you got it.
Yeah. It's a Rolex sister company. Yeah. So they're I think is Rolex is doing Ferrari. Yeah. You have to have a Rolex. This Rolex to buy the other Rolex that you want, but you have to have this one first. I know this guy who actually rents Rolex.
Oh, no way.
So let's say you buy a regular Rolex, and then you want a Daytona. So if you want a Daytona, they make you buy lesser model first, yeah? And then, but you don't want that one, so you sell it because it's a good resale price. But then when you go get your Daytona, you have to bring the watch. So what this guy does is rent the watches so people can go pick the other watches.
Oh, that's rad.
Yeah.
That's really cool. It's almost as cool as there's this watch company that's out there. They do, they send you a watch. You pay for a membership.
Okay.
And they send you a watch every month.
To wear, and then you send it back?
No, you can keep.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so you pay I think $150 or something like that a month, and they send you a watch that's I don't know. I'm trying to remember, but it's from $100 to $300, from that. And then each month they pick one person to get a Rolex watch, and that's kind of how that's their big selling point. Win a Rolex watch once a month, and it's kind of an interesting concept.
Yeah.
And they have a lot of cool watches that they send out. But it's really kind of cool. And I'm sure if you don't like the watch, I'm sure you can send it back. But what's the point? Because you already paid the membership for it. So you might as well gift it out to somebody.
It's an interesting concept.
But it's an interesting concept. Yeah. There's a few different watch companies that are out there that do that. And it's very kind of cool. I've been trying to get into those, but it's very hard. It's very hard.
Another place that I'm being seen is an app called Touch Modern.
Mm-hmm.
And you look, and there's a lot of interesting watches in there that shows up. Yeah. But it's not a story. It have to be a story. Do you celebrate important undertakings with a watch? If an anniversary or big milestone, you go and buy a watch?
Yeah, a lot of the times like that. Yeah, I usually kind of help promote that, with folks saying, hey, you're struggling for a gift, get a watch.
Yeah,
I'm not necessarily one of mine, but I'm just, even before that, I would always say hey, you can't go wrong with a watch. My wife's 40th birthday, I think I bought her a watch, and then some other friends that have a specific milestone, I'll send them a watch, or say, hey, let's get a watch. Highly encourage it.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Especially big milestones.
Yeah,
Those are important to celebrate.
When Francisco turned 10, we got him his first G-Shock, but he wanted it in this green color, and it was one of a kind because it's a Japanese version of the watch. It wasn't, you cannot buy it in the States, so we got to get it from there. So yeah, and then he wear a lot of my watches. So
that's the best part, though, passing them down to your child.
Yeah.
You know, and letting them wear it and everything. My dad used to let me do the same thing, wear some of his watches. Of course, he told me, he's like, if you scratch them, you're dead. Like, just a punk teenager at that time. But like, you know, he would let me wear some of his watches, and now that I have some of them, you know, I hold it very dearly to my heart.
Nice. Yeah, I remember when I was it was a watchmaker. I don't know, it wasn't a watchmaker, but it was a watch repair shop in the neighborhood that I grew up. And I used to go, and it was 5 blocks from my house, and they had a big window where the guy is working, yeah? And I used to stand in there for 4 or 5 hours watching him work, and I was like, it's funny, he never say hi, and like he never, yeah. So he was like focused on his work, but to me it was like one of the most fascinating things. I think after that I started taking everything that I could apart and try to figure out how it works. Yeah,
very cool.
But like I said, I never dare. That's not true. I used to like do a lot of cleaning on the watches, but like you say, it's like if you don't have a sort of like a clean environment. I got one of my watches, I took it all apart, cleaned them up, and then I put it back together, and I was so proud because it was working. Yeah, it was working. It was great. And then I look at it, and I'm like, and then it was like an eyelash, or a piece of like an eyelash, super small, and because it was a skeleton watch.
So oh yeah,
see it?
Yeah.
And that's the only thing I was able to see. It was like, and after that I said no. There's someone that has the right environment to do it, because it will drive me nuts.
Yeah, I don't know how some of the watch companies or watch repair shops, like how do they keep it so clean and take off the back cover? Like I had a few battery operated watches that I just had the battery replaced, you know, because I figured they got the little press. Yeah. That, you know, it's probably a lot better than mine. It is a lot better than mine. And it's fascinating seeing like all the different tools that they use, all the different techniques that they all the different techniques over time they've learned and everything. I talk to like my watch repair guy all the time about different stuff, and he owns like a little watch store and everything, and it like his setup in the back is super sweet. Kind of like how you were just describing how he was there with the ear eyepiece, and he's there, you know, super focused, wiping down all the cloths and wiping everything down with a cloth and making sure that it's, you know, perfectly precise and clean, and you know, and you need that precision. You know, one little movement off to like the left or right, not centered right in there, can really throw off everything.
Another thing that people don't realize is like even if your watch is battery operated, yeah, it's like, well, I would change the battery eventually, but what a lot of times that people don't get is like, well, if you let it sit for a while, the battery either is gonna like get corroded, but it releases some fumes and it tints the glass at the inside. So now it's like, well, you have to like change the battery and do maintenance on the glass.
Yeah, I always recommend, and what I always do is like I have a few battery operated. I just pull the pin, and then when I'm ready to use, like pull the pin out, like where the crown is, so it stops the battery from working, and then I just push it back in, and it works just fine.
Oh, wow. I never thought about that.
Yeah, and you save a ton of money, and not replacing like 10. If you have like 20 watches and 10 of them are battery operated, you're not blowing like $200 on batteries.
Yeah,
you know,
it can get out there with the bugs and say, well, I need all of this.
Yeah. It's funny because I would roll in sometimes and be like, I got all these watches. And they're like, why didn't you pull the pin? And I'm like, because I'm lazy. That's why. Like, I don't think about it always.
This is such a great trick. I never thought about it.
No. And it keeps the battery for, it will last 10 times longer. I guarantee. Unless you use it every day.
Yeah.
You know, you want it to work. You don't want to set the time every single day if you're wearing that. That's your watch.
Yeah.
You know, but if you have the watch, you know, you don't wear a watch every day, just pull the pin out. It just, you hear a little click, so you know you haven't gone too far.
So,
and then it saves the battery. It doesn't radiate the heat off there or discolor the dial, the sapphire or the glass that you have.
Yeah, the mineral glass, whatever. But is it a possibility that they can get dust into there? Or no? Because it's like you don't pull it all the way out.
You don't pull it all the way out. In most,
enough.
Yeah, most pins have like a little, I don't know how to describe it, but like a little bump thing. So it's not just like a straight rod. They have other stuff in there that I know with my movements, there's a little like bevel, I guess you can say.
Okay.
So when you pull the pin, it kind of seals it off inside. Maybe not all of them are like that. That's a good point about the dust. I never actually really thought about that.
No, but what I'm saying, let's say I pulled the watch is in a box. Yeah, so I have a box watch, and I pull the pin, and then I close the box. I probably will keep it safe because there's no.
Oh, totally.
Yeah.
Having a watch box is definitely clutch to have because you can really keep them in there looking nice. You don't have to worry about getting dust on it, especially if you have a lot of watches with the little imperfections or numbers on the outside on the bevel. Then you can just you can get like a microfiber cloth and clean that off relatively easy. But do you want to do that every single time you wear a watch? Probably not. Yeah. You want to clean them eventually here and there, because it's, natural buildup of like skin and moisture and discoloration, dirt from like the elements of outside, but again, microfiber cloth and you're good to roll. Get a good one.
That's awesome. Yeah. That's a nice trick. I was like, I save a lot of money on batteries.
You save a ton of money on batteries.
Yeah. That's cool. And did you visit any other factories and when you were in Europe, or was just Rolex?
It was just the Rolex visit. We were it was super cool. We got to see you weren't inside, you were inside the factory, but kind of not. You were from the viewing rooms, kind of. So you get to see all the clean room environments and how they would set the watches and put the hour markers on, because you need a cool press to do that. Doing it by hand. Some were doing it by hand. I think it's because they were cleaning the watches. Because you can send your watch back to Rolex and they'll fully clean and do whatever. The
problem with that, sometimes if you have a old Rolex, it's worth some money because of the year, and you send it back to Rolex, they don't care over there. They will replace it with new parts. And then they send you back the watch, but it's no longer the original watch, so the price value just drops tremendously.
Oh, totally. Yeah. If I had a few high quality watches, I would not send it back ever, because you do run into that problem. I mean, you can Google some watches and get some of the parts, older parts, and make sure and have them cleaned from a watchmaker. That's the route I would go with older watches.
It's a guy in New York. That is just replaces. He just buy Rolex, and it has it by years. Yeah, so you pick the year, and he replaces it with that year part, so you don't lose the.
That's perfect. That's exactly kind of where I was just going down. Yeah, but without the Rolex guy.
Yeah, it's because a lot of people, it's the thing with cars and watches, so you have to have maintenance on them. And I'm like, what? Yeah, it's it's gonna be some money that you're gonna have to spend eventually. And when you get high-end pieces,
you want those pieces to last.
Yeah,
you don't want them to falter.
Yeah. So what is what watches in your list now?
What watches do I have?
No, what watches is like in the future buying list?
Oh, my future buying list? Oh, God. I have a ridiculously long list still, even though now that I make them. But if I have to pick a watch that I'm like, I must have.
The 3 or 5.
I would definitely pick a Patek Philippe.
Okay.
Non-skeleton, classic Patek Philippe. I love them, love them, love them. I think they are the best watchmaker company in the world.
Okay. What's that? Why?
I think it's because their movements are are very solid. They're very well built. They put a lot of design into the watches. They just don't build a watch to build a watch, in my opinion. And they build watches that are like really classy. You know, there's some other watches out there, companies that they have like a bunch of watches, but like I don't think they're always really classy looking.
Yeah.
Even though they're very high end, and I'm just like, why would someone buy that? They're focusing on a really, really niche market, and with watches, getting it into a niche market is very hard because you have to really focus your time and effort onto it.
Yeah.
More than others, you have to really go target those people and have potentially have a celebrity, help you with like giving it to them or having them buy it and say, hey, I'm going to give you this to you, but can you wear this to a gala or an event, or can you wear it like almost every day for a year? So paparazzi can take pictures of it and everything like that. But going back to Patek Philippe, I think they're just a beautiful watch. Like every time I see a Patek Philippe, I know exactly what it is. Because it's beautiful, it's classy. I could spot one out like a mile away. Another is I would probably go back to Rolex.
Okay.
Some people are not big fans of Rolex. They say you're just buying the name. But after visiting the factory, you're not just buying the name. Like you're buying a high quality timepiece.
Yeah.
You're buying something that will build to last for generations. I would go for the Presidente version of it.
Okay.
It's most common Rolex. Probably similar to what we bought my dad's Rolex, because that's the one I was just like blown out of my mind. And I was just like, wow, I love the diamonds on it. I love the dark background with the gold watch. It was sexy, manly.
Yeah.
I just loved it. So.
And with the Patek Philippe, which one will you pick?
That's a hard one. That's a hard one. I don't think I have a preference with Patek Philippe.
Okay.
I think anyone I would be so stoked to have.
Yeah, my top on the list are the Rolex Explorer 2.
Nice.
On a white dial, like the black dial, and the other one will be Breitling.
Oh yes,
The Breitling Emergency.
Nice.
Yeah, I like they make a new version of it, but I like the old version best. Yeah.
You can never go wrong with a classic timepiece.
Yeah. The emergency is kind of big because it has the screwed up point when you take it out, and it starts sending the signal for a mayday. So it's made for pilots when they crash. So they
very cool.
Flying anywhere. So they're constantly. So I think the fine, if you take it out just for fun, the fine is $250,000.
Wow.
Yeah, but there's like the mayday emergency everywhere in the world you go. They constantly monitor that frequency.
Oh, that's really interesting.
Yeah, and I like the Explorer 2 because I have a soft spot for GMT watches. I love GMT watches because traveling is always the GMT is always when I'm home. Yeah, so that's the home thing. Do you have any of the GMT watches?
I do not know. I probably should look into that.
You don't have it for yourself?
Oh, I have some for myself.
Okay,
yeah.
Okay.
But yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I love GMT watches, and I really, especially when I travel, I always kind of look at it and go back into there. So, what is next for you in the watch industry?
I'm still kind of mapping that out right now. I'm looking to build out more of the women's brand within my watch company, and then building out more automatic timepieces along with pocket watches. That's been a big. People have been making comments like, "When are you going to come out with a pocket watch? When are you going to come out with a pocket watch?" I just haven't designed anything that I was like wow about. So that's what's going up next. Hopefully doing more events. Like right now I do events, for selling the watches in person, and that's where I get a lot of my feedback from, which is great because I get people who are not watch enthusiasts and being like, oh, wow, this is really neat. Or people who are like, no, I'm a smartwatch guy and this is the reason why.
Yeah.
Or I get people who are like, I got to have this timepiece. Like this one guy over the holidays, he was hilarious. He was there with his kid and he was just saying like, hey, I need to get this timepiece. How much you going to give it to me for? And I'm like, well, this is the price.
Yeah.
And he didn't bat an eyelash, which was great on getting it. But like him and I still stay in contact.
Yeah.
Because he's just like, I love your company and the story behind it. Because him and I got talking about watches, and he was like, yeah, tell me your story. Tell me a little bit about you personally, and also the story of the company. And he's like, I love the brand. So that's another thing that we're going to be working on, more brand recognition. So
that's cool.
Building out more of the brand, building out more women's collection, pocket watches.
I think pocket watches are so cool. I have a few of them. I hope that you make a square one or like rectangular ones. I like those. Those are hard to find.
Those are very hard to find.
Yeah. But yeah, as a company, the EQUES watches, I think that you have to have oil change on the watch.
Oh, that's rad.
Yeah. But yeah, so I have a few pocket watches. I really like it, and especially, when you're wearing the vest or having the chain, it looks pretty cool.
No, absolutely. And, I have some pocket watches. My wife got me a pocket watch for our wedding, and I absolutely love it. I wear it with a suit, or even I took off the cover, and I have had a wristband made for it, so you can put the pocket watch in there and still wear it. I mean, it's ridiculously huge, but it's kind of neat to have it with you. And I have, my grandfather's pocket watch, my dad's pocket watch, my great-grandfather's pocket watch, my great-great-grandmother's little tiny women's pocket watches.
Nice.
Yeah, which is really cool. So I have a soft spot for pocket watches because the history and the feel of them. It feels like you're just going to another time.
Yeah, it has that feeling like, although it's you feel like you're in an episode of Peaky Blinders, yeah, like pulling that chain and look at it and then put it back. It's something about it. I really enjoy it, and and I like what you say about the piece of, people try to get a deal for you with a watch. It's kind of silly. And you're like, how much is this? That's the price.
This is the price. And my watches are not like, they're not cheap, but they're not like expensive either. Yeah. So it's like, it's super affordable. But everyone's always trying to look for a deal, especially around the holidays. I think that was more what it is. He's like, hey, what is your holiday deal? Instead of, but I'm pretty transparent.
When you say you do events, where do you put in events, or you join a club and do events? How do you work that piece? Because I have to say, your marketing, and I remember talking to you about 6 or 7 months ago, and I was telling you about your Instagram page and the videos and all that, and then you told me that that's mostly you. I was like, that's pretty impressive.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have a videographer and a photographer who does phenomenal work. But a lot of the Instagram reels, like I'll pull from those assets that they build out for me, or assets that I build out for myself, and just kind of like mix them in. Instagram has been very generous and really cool working those elements out to help me market to who I want to market, and also gave me a range to focus on marketing to people or a group that I don't normally focus on. So, but the analytics you can get from that is phenomenal. Yeah.
Do you go and do you pay for reels to promote them to see, or you just let it go organically and then you read the feedback of the organic piece?
Yeah, organic all the way. Boosting a post doesn't really help you. If you want to do like advertisements and everything like that, just go to like do an advertisement, on there, and then splice it up that way, like, and do whatever message you want to do it like in an ad versus doing it on a boost reel, because you really don't get much from it, and it doesn't really get out. It focuses on like a certain target market that's not really, it may not be your target market.
Oh, wow.
So it's very interesting, and I found that out through Boost because I was boosting a lot. And when I first started, I'm like, let's boost it. Let's see how far it can go. And boosting doesn't do anything. After talking to a marketing company, they were like, no, boosting does the negative effect, because it doesn't really, you can't focus on who you want to boost it to, even though you set the settings for it. It doesn't really on like do it through Instagram and Facebook. But if you do an ad, it can set it more direct for you.
Wow. So that's, but I didn't know that. I thought the boosting, it was like, okay, this is the people that you follow, this is the things that you do, so we're gonna increase that audience. But no, it's like
no, advertisement all the way.
Okay.
Yeah, save the money on and do the ads versus doing the boost. You can do a boost too in there, here and there. Yeah. If you get a good reaction and you're like, I just want to put like $5, $10, $15, whatever your spend is, that you just wanted to like test the waters with. See like if it'll go a little bit more viral, if you get a few more likes, that's okay. But overall, if you want to focus your marketing and advertising, I wouldn't do boosting.
Well,
yeah.
And you mean when you do the advertising, it's like, are you going for people the base of the analytics that you get from them, and then you go and you do the advertising like that?
Yeah, exactly like that. Like I did it like when I first started to do Facebook, meta ads. I just did like a generic generic video that my videographer did, and then just kept it pretty broad to see what the analytics will show, and then I kept that up for like a few days, and then adjusted it, because I'm like, okay, like 20 to 25 are showing like a higher click-through rate than like 60 plus. So I would stop showing it to 60 plus, like adjust the age range, the demographic. And you can do all those. You can get really narrowed down. You can even put like suggestive areas. So I would do like, wedding engagements and gifts and, people who look at Esquire and GQ and Maxim, magazines. Cause, that's, like I was fortunate enough to be featured on Maxim. So like, on a post really quick, it was like 30 seconds. So I'm like, Hey. I'm like, I was featured.
Yeah, it counts.
It was 2 seconds, but I was featured.
It counts.
And I thought that was really cool. So like, that's how you can narrow down your target that way. And I also take it into account of all these events that I do. And the events that you mentioned, like what events do you do? Like some of them are, shop events, like not flea markets, but they're like more market based. I've done a few fashion. I'm going to be doing wedding events, getting in there for that. People can buy a watch, for their fiance or dads or groomsmen. That's a new market that I'm tapping into that seems to be working out pretty well.
Do you do any customizations for that?
I can't, not yet. I don't have the machinery for it, but I do give recommendations like, hey, if you want to get it customized, this is where you can do it. This would be the most effective place for it. Like, this is the way I would do it. I would say that to them, but I don't do any customizations.
No, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, because do your backings on the watches are flat or like they have your company on it?
Yeah, on the back of the automatics, it's clear,
Oh, nice.
so you can see the components on the front and the back.
Oh, okay. So it's a skeleton watch.
Yeah, so it's more like a mini skeleton feel in a way. Battery operated ones that have my logo on the back.
Okay.
Yeah, but you can easily, not that I promote it, you can easily get it buffed out.
Yeah.
At an engraver.
Yeah.
And then do the customization message back there.
It's interesting because the history of the skeleton, it was just like a salesman's watch. So they can take it to shops and show them how the watch actually work without taking it apart.
Yeah.
So, and now as we use it, like, I think they're pretty cool.
I think a lot of skeleton watches. I think that's an underrated watch. I love skeleton movements. They're fantastic, especially, like now you can get like partial skeleton or full on skeleton, like it's really cool to see the components, especially if you're a watch nerd and you want to see how like your watch is functioning and you're like intrigued by it, or someone who's like doesn't really know much about watches, but they're interested in it. I'll be like, get him a skeleton watch because it's really rad to look at, to see all the components moving and you hear the ticking. Like I love hearing a ticking of a watch.
Yeah.
It's to me, it's so relaxing.
Yeah, it's like it's great. It, like some people drives me nuts, but it's like, no, it's that noise is the best. I remember growing up, we used to have like
the cracking,
cracking to go to sleep. That was fun, but I miss it. I miss the noises. It's so relaxing, like you say. It's so relaxing here.
It's so relaxing. And it's funny, at home, we had to put everything in the box and I had to put it on the other side of the room because the ticking will keep my wife up.
Really?
Because I'll have I have quite a few automatics.
Oh yeah.
So there'll be, if I move something, it'll be like kick, 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 kick. And like the battery operated ones, like she doesn't hear because I pulled the pin. But automatics, if I'm wearing automatic that day.
Casings they move and constantly wind them?
I don't have that.
Okay.
I don't have that because personally, I feel that can damage the watch, even though it technically says it doesn't do it because it's constantly moving in a different direction.
Yeah.
And moving it all that way. And because it's not built to be like that. They're more built to be on your wrist.
Yeah.
But they say they're safe. I personally don't have one. Because I feel like it could damage the watch. But
I hear a lot of that. Yeah, so it's like it's two camps. People that say, "Oh, it doesn't matter," and then you have the other ones that like, "Well, kind of does," and then you have other ones that like, "Well, this one you have to program it according with the watch that you have," and I'm like, I don't have one either. I particularly don't like it. I mean, it will do this 20 times and we're ready to go. Yeah,
I'd rather set the watch. The excitement part is like, hey, what time is it? It's 2:00. All right, I'll set the watch 2:00. With an automatic, you give it a little crank here and there.
Yeah,
to really get it going. Put it on your wrist and you call it a day. Like you don't have to worry about it.
Yeah, that to me is I don't have one. It's just because the person I used to have a friend that he was also watch maniac, and he's like, no, when you have it, do this and it will ruin the movement, and he convinced me not to have them, and I'm like I enjoyed that piece. It's like crank it up, ready to go, let's go. Yeah, super fun. So anything else that you would like to share about watches or anything?
Anything at all. I think having a watch or being interested in watches is a passion.
Yeah.
I think I think it's something that people really should take their time into investing and taking a look at. Is watches. It's a timeless art.
So that's great. So where a person should start?
I would say a person should start with a watch that really speaks to them. Now, where do they go for that? it's it's where you shop. Like me, I'm an Amazon guy. So that's the first place I would go. I would go to Amazon and be like, I want a fashionable watch. If you're looking for fashion or timeless or, something that's really, classic and, doesn't have much, do whatever search you do, put in a price range that fits your budget. If someone's like really starting out new, like they're in college and everything, I would say, hey, stick within about like $200 range. That'll get you a good watch that'll last for a while. It'll also give you a good watch that you can wear at work and casual, go out on like on a date or something like that, and then expand your collection from there. But I would say that. Now, if you are new into the watch market, but you have, a little bit higher income, I would say like expand out to maybe, $200-$300, or excuse me, $300 to $500 on a watch, because it would fit your lifestyle a little bit more. But if you're starting off, I wouldn't go too crazy and breaking the bank. I'll stay pretty casual. And now if you're a teenager, I would be like, stick to more of a Target, like Target watches, because it'll give you a good taste. You can beat it up, which you will.
Yeah.
Like I had watches in high school. I beat them to death, and I regret doing that now, but they were cheaper watches, so I really didn't care. But it got my passion into watches even more, because I was like, oh, this one's all beat up, I'll just go out and buy a new one. Yeah. And I did.
I usually tell people, I don't know, I don't think the website is anymore, overstock.com. It used to have a big selection of watches, but I was like, when you go to Costco, just walk through that little aisle that they have with all the jewelry and see if anything got your attention.
Yeah.
Because it's like, I think having, I wish everybody had watches. So the start, I like what you say, look at the budget where you start, don't break the bank. So what is I say, hey, I have $1,000. Yeah. What is the 3 main watches that you would recommend me buy?
Ooh.
And it doesn't have to be like brand. I mean, if you know that you have that kind of like range to give me the brand and the name, but if you can give me, you need an analog because it will cover you in this area. You need an automatic, and then you need a dress watch.
Yeah, like that. If I had $1,000 just blow on a watch, I would definitely find the most unique piece that speaks to me.
Like, give me. I need 3 categories I need to buy 3 watches, and I have $1,000.
Oh, you need to buy 3 watches for $1,000. 100% automatic.
Yeah.
That would be my first choice. Automatic, partial skeleton, and I would do it with a leather strap.
Okay.
So you can dress it up and dress it down very easily. I'll get a battery operated one that's stainless steel, pretty plain, plain Jane. So you can wear that dress up and everything like that. And then I'll buy something that's literally unique, something that speaks to you, but yet it's not the standard type of watch. Maybe it's another battery operated, but it has. Have you seen the Godfather watch that's out there?
No.
It's actually a pretty sweet watch. It's very interesting with all the different components. Now, it's not a watch that I'm like, wow. I have to have this watch, but if I had the money, I would probably buy the watch because it has so many complications in it that looks really cool. So I would to give a example of a unique design, something like that. So if I had $1,000, I would get something that's an automatic, that's simple, that you can wear.
Like a Seiko 5.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
And then get a battery operated that's stainless steel, very simple, either with a black, white, silver backing.
You know what? When you mention that, is like the one that a lot of people are getting now is the Timex Pepsi. There's like half red and half blue.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
They have the Pepsi model, like the Rolex have the Pepsi model. The Timex one, if you are in the, it's probably gonna be like $180, but it's impossible to buy right now.
Interesting.
Yeah. So that, sorry.
And Timex is a fantastic brand too, and they have watches that are all of different rates. It's just like Citizens. You can get like a Citizen watch for like $50, but you can also spend like a couple grand on the Citizen watch too.
It's just like, it's kind of what I mean. Notice is like Citizen doesn't have the reputation that I guess they deserve. Like it's going. I don't know if they haven't done something. I think they need a better marketing team because they're losing a lot of battles with Seiko. Yeah, Seiko is like
Totally.
yeah.
Yeah. What Seiko and Nixon have, they have branded opportunities. So they have brand affiliates, like with Marvel, for example. And so they sell like a lot of Marvel watches, like branded type of stuff that Citizens needs to get on board with to stay on that competitive edge with them. But Citizen has like a fantastic watch brand. I agree with you there. I think they're very underrated type of watch. Some people look at them as a low cost watch, and I'm just like, low cost. I go, yeah, they have pretty affordable watches, but they're pretty solid.
Yeah, they're great.
Yeah, they're pretty solid versus these watch brands that are out there that use or have watches that are made out of really flimsy types of materials that, you know, looks cool and you're like, wow, I really want this, but at the same time, is it going to last? Probably not.
Yeah.
But Citizens has a pretty good watchmaking company.
I used to have a Citizen watch, and I've been looking for it, and I cannot find it, and it drives me nuts. When I moved to this country, I lost it. But I lose that watch, and it was a Citizen, and it was half analog and half digital from the 70s.
Nice.
And I'm sometimes spend 2 or 3 hours like putting like different search and stuff like that, and it is for the life of me I cannot find it online. But that's one of the ones that I used to wear like all the time when I was in the last year of high school, and I lost it, and I'm like, that's hard. I cannot find it. I will find it eventually.
That's rough when you have a watch that you really like, and then you lose it. You don't think much about it, and then you're like, then it pops in your head, and you're like, I gotta have this watch now. You know, that happened when you said you lost your Citizens. I'm like, I've also lost the Citizens too. Yeah. And it was a beautiful gold Citizens, and it had like an emerald dial, and I used to call it the Emerald City watch because it was so different and unique that it was just so green, like it shined out, like especially when the sun would hit it.
Yeah,
it would shine so bright that like I just loved it, and like I can't find that watch. I find variations of it.
Yeah, that's true. I have variations,
but it's not the exact. And I'm like, I don't want to get like a variation of it. Like I want the exact one. And like when I think about the watch, which now I thought about it, so I'm probably going to go home and look for it again.
Me too.
And it's probably going to drive my wife crazy, and she'll be like, God, you're looking at more watches. And I'll be like, yeah, I am. I'm looking for this watch.
Technically, it's a hard, and we might not find it. Yeah. So, but yeah, so that is, sometimes I go to that rabbit hole. So I used to have that watch, and it's like, I wonder if I can find it. And it's at least a couple times a year I go and look for it, and I find variations. So yeah, but not that particular one. So yeah, so Citizen, there needs to get stuff out there. They have great quality watches. Yeah. But yeah, so I think Seiko, they do really good. I'm not fan of the Grand Seiko watches. I don't know about them. They're nice. I like the dials that they make, but it's not enough for me. It's just the dial. But yeah. Yeah, cool. Any other watch the manufacturers that you will be like, that one? Like, this is an underdog. Nobody's paying attention to it.
Oh God, yeah. It's the name is escaping me. I also got that watch as a gift. It's Edward or no, it's EDGARD, I think is the name. And I love their automatic timepiece, but it's like the one I was gifted was a partial one.
Yeah,
and it's black, all black, and it has like the blue hour markings in the hands and everything like that. It's super, super nice. Very underrated watch company. I follow them on Instagram. I feel bad that I'm escaping on the name of it. But they're fantastic watch company.
Cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much for your time. This was fun.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Yeah,
Thank you for having me.
I don't usually get people in my inner circle. There's not that many people that love watches as much as I do. So when I find someone, pick their ears, is pretty fun.
No, this has been a blast. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for being here.
All right.